Okay guys, this is part 2 of my introduction to my channel. I guess I'm in a better shady spot where I don't have too much sun right in my face. So anyway, there's a lot of controversy about what type of gear to carry while you're hiking, backpacking, whatever. I'm gonna say this, especially if you're hiking in the mountains, whether it's wooden mountains or desert, you can have extremes very quickly. So if you go out unprepared and you want to, and something happens where you can't make it back because you have, rain just coming down, lightning, I honestly suggest you find a place to shelter down. You're better off sheltering down than trying to walk through that rain. And especially if it gets dark and you have no light, even if you do have a flashlight, and I'm saying this from personal experience, 98% of the time, even if you have a wide trail, you will lose the trail. Without learning how to do night land navigation, I highly suggest do not travel at night. The main part of your shelter or the clothing is your clothing. So let's say you get stuck in a situation where the weather comes in and you can't get back to your car, you're too far away, and you start to get hypothermic. How do you warm yourself up with all your clothes being soaked? And there's a controversy with the type of materials with the clothing. So with that being said, and this is gonna be in my series on my playlist of gear selection and clothing for the 5 C's, or cover, as Dave Canterbury would say. After I fell through ice and I couldn't get my truck started, I had to stuff my clothes full of leaves. So let's say you're around an area that there are no leaves. You got evergreens. Use the pine needles. Use your evergreen boughs, whatever they are. It may be itchy, but I'm going to tell you this, it will save your life. Since I've been in Boy Scouts, I've been hypothermic more than 10 times. No, it's not fun. I'm getting a thermal camera for my phone, so that way I can really understand the effects of the hypothermia on how fast the body cools down. Back in '98, I ended up with frostbite on both my hands and feet. So that is another reason I'm highly talking about gear selection with the clothing, and why it's super important. So then I think the next thing is going to be your actual shelter system. For me, I always like to carry an emergency tarp, testing it last winter, or not last year, but the winter before that, so it's about 2 years. I actually did wrap up an emergency blanket. I didn't bring my warm sleeping bag because I let somebody borrow it. Never got it back. So we're gonna be going over how to use the gear that you have. Your minimalistic gear. How to use that to create body warmth, especially during the winter. And for me, one of my favorite types of shelters, especially here in New Mexico, I think is really the Plow Point. I've tried to use the A-frame before during the monsoon season with a large tarp, and I'll tell you this, cover up the grommets for one thing, as if you have a driving rain. And I wish I would have been able to get a video on it, but I got drenched even under the tarp. I only had about 3-4 inches of dry space. So I ended up coming back, but in December I'm not going to have that option. So I'm going to be out there with no vehicle to come back. So this is so to go in order on the 5 C's with my mentality, just from my experience. So your shelter is number 1. Number 2, your knife. Yeah, 2, not 3. 3 would be your container for water. Here in New Mexico, we have a big issue with finding running water. So I'm going to be doing a video on how to process the water from the cactus. Both the prickly pear, or more commonly referred to as nopales, and also the cholla. The cholla you do have to cook. It tastes like a gooey cucumber when it's finished. It is actually, for me, it's somewhat more tasting than the nopales, but the nopales you do not have to cook. You can do that raw. I'm going to be going over fire making, which would be the combustion. For my haversack kit, which I'm going to be training with for the Appalachian Trail, it's a cross between modern and primitive gear. And that's my mentality. I've had too many modern things fail on me. So that's why I started looking into more of the primitive. But a lot of people don't know how to use the primitive stuff. Primitive fire making. Am I versed on the primitive fire making right now? No. I'm far from it. So you're going to be seeing a lot of mistakes from me. We're going to be doing a lot of raw videos. I'm going to be doing until we can learn how to edit. We're going to be going through parts 1, 2, 3. So you're going to see both my success and my failures, because this This channel is about me becoming a self-taught expert in whatever it is that I'm doing. So I have not had the opportunity to get proper training. A lot of people think I'm ridiculous for what I'm doing. So I am putting everything out there. Too many people show just a good side of themselves. They practice off camera. So when they go to on camera, it looks very easy. You're gonna see everything from my start. I'm gonna be doing a video on how to heat up the shelter, how to bring a fire inside the shelter, especially for the emergency blanket, because I'm gonna be doing that during the December camping trip. And it's just simple, sometimes these simple stuff that most people don't think of can save your life. It can either save your life or make you more comfortable with very lightweight pack. For me, I have a base weight of 10 pounds. 5 during the summer, 10 during the winter. So my Appalachian Trail hike, when I do my through hike, maybe it's Appalachian Trail, maybe it's Continental Divide. Either way, I'm only doing 10 pounds, 98% mid-century gear. My backpack's gonna be homemade. My shelter's gonna be homemade. Yes, I am making my own tent. I'm gonna be making an ultralight tent, which for a 2-person, for me and Delita, that we can actually zip up. I'm gonna be working on the prototype this coming spring. As we should have the money for it, for both the winter tent and also the summer tent. The summer tent should actually be cheaper than the winter tent. I'm actually looking at using 3 emergency survival blankets or tarps for the winter tent. So we'll see you on the next video.